with that being said, we're jumping right into our lead story of the day with Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard blasting wokeism, leftist hypocrisy, and Joe Rogan here shares an insane story about a woke school and a litter box. We got a clip on this one, folks. It just shows you how insane the left has gone and how, honestly, their ideology will destroy this country eventually if we let it get too far. So podcast superstar Joe Rogan shared an insane story about identity ideology run amok in a school that purportedly accommodated a girl student who identifies as a cat, meow, that type of cat, by placing a litter box in the restroom. I am not kidding. This story is so insane that you would probably go, there's no way that this would happen. I'm telling you as a teacher, somebody that's been in both public and private school system for at least the last 5 years, I can believe this taking place. This is not out of the realm of being not plausible. I fully believe it. So he has on Tulsi Gabbard, and the story that he's sharing and claiming is that there's kids who identify as furries. It's the first time I'm hearing the word furries, but I know there's human beings that identify as dogs, cats, wolves. I mean, we've seen it all. The wolf one was from Matt Walsh's film, What is a Woman, where literally you had a human being identifying as a wolf. We've seen those clips of people dressing up as animals and eating dog food and living in cages. So it's not, again, out of the realm of a child identifying that way, but you got to hear this story. I want to go ahead and play it for you from Joe Rogan's mouth himself. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Ready for this? My friend, his wife, is a school teacher, and she works at a school that had to install a litter box in the girls' room because there is a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal, and her mother badgered the school until they agreed to put a litter box in one of the stalls. Yeah. So this girl goes into the litter room, or to the girls' room, and...
Did he just say litter room? The litter room. Sorry, let's continue.
Urinates or whatever. I don't know if she poops in it. That's pretty gross. You know what I mean? Like, if you could teach your cat, by the way, here's the thing. If you could teach your cat to use the toilet, you would. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want a box of in your house. It's the worst. I've had cats my whole life. It's the worst thing about having cats. You got to clean that box of every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest thing about dogs. They go outside. Like, you're a fucking human.
The cats got their humans trained.
Imagine how crazy that is. You're a fucking human being, and you prefer a litter box. You want to into a pile of sand rather than use a bathroom that you could flush the toilet, wipe yourself like a normal person. Like, you're so crazy with what you think an animal is that not only have you said this, but you've conned the school into putting this litter box in a girl's room.
Yeah.
Which is bananas.
It is.
It is bananas. And it is crazy. But the left are crazy. And then what's happening here is there used to be a separation between the Democratic Party and the progressive left. They used to be different. And what's happening is the Democratic Party is slowly absorbing the progressive left to where they're all for this stuff. I've seen something very similar in the school system. And what I'm curious on is if that person identifies as a cat, what type of accommodations is the teachers themselves and the administration having to do outside of the kitty litter box? I mean, who's having to clean that up? Is a custodian having to clean it up? Does he clean it up with a shovel or with a rake? I mean, who's the poor guy that has to clean this thing? So he gave his story, talked about how she goes to the bathroom, or he goes to the bathroom. Who knows? You don't want to misidentify anybody anymore because hell, you'd be censored. But the story Rogan shared is similar to other rumors about other schools placing litter boxes into bathrooms, and those have gone viral on the internet, but they have not necessarily been substantiated, meaning not like kind of super thrown out there for national news and actual videotape of this stuff and being legitimate. But I've heard cases as well as something very, very similar with this stuff, and it would not shock me if it was legit. You also have school officials in Wisconsin and also New York, among other districts nationwide, that have faced similar claims and have vigorously denied them and characterized the rumors as a hoax or urban myth. 20 years ago, you would have been like, yeah, no way, man. That's so crazy. There's no way that's going on. Nowadays, especially as a teacher in the school system, I'm going like, yeah, would it surprise me? Like, at that point, it's not even being gullible. It's just going, yeah, that's not even satire or a joke. I could actually see that taking place. You have Republicans running this year in midterm elections, such as gubernatorial candidate Scott Jensen of Minnesota and others, speaking of Colorado, and they had advanced claims as part of a broader pushback against transgender ideology in schools. Because what you've had is boys claiming, or should I say claiming, believing that they're actually females, which they're not. They're not biological females, they're biological men, being given locker room access, in some cases have actually gone and raped little girls because of that access. And again, the left are all for it. The left are all for this transgender stuff. They want Planned Parenthood on high school campuses that will help transition your child without your acknowledgement and you knowing about it. There's already certain things that are taking place on school campuses that are not to your knowledge of what's going on with your son or daughter on those campuses, whether the school psychologist knows. Your teachers, the teaching staff might not even know what's going on, so you can't blame them because it's only under the admin or whoever's in control of that child to help them transition, give them puberty blockers, hormone enhancers, and guide them right along. And you got the progressive left that want to advance this stuff. There was just a story the other day where the progressive left literally says a baby knows its own gender before it's ever born. It knows its own sex. Explain that one to me. The same party that says it's not a living human being in the womb, that you can abort it, is now saying that that same living being that they don't believe is a living human being can know its sex before it's ever born. Explain that one to me, folks. Explain it. Rogan also discussed on this podcast with Tulsi Gabbard wokeism, and that was announced this week. Furthermore, because of this wokeism and the hypocrisy of the left, Tulsi Gabbard announced, which you've all saw, it made national headlines, that she left the Democratic Party in a blistering statement. She said that the hypocrisy of the far left progressives pushed her away from the Democrats. We see this time and time again. The most famous one was Ronald Reagan, where he said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party left me. Shows you they've been moving far left for decades. She also was recalling how she was attacked for not showing up at a women's march after Donald Trump was elected. Quote, the irony is, here we are, sitting now with a lot of these same people who are like, oh, I don't know how to define a woman, and there's no such thing as a woman, Gabbard told Rogan. Quote, all of these examples point to the hypocrisy, the fact that they don't believe in the truth, and that whatever their cause of the moment is, whatever they decide is the truth, and that thing must be measured against you, like you and I are either with us or you're against us, and if you're with us, you got to prove that you're zealous for the cause. I mean, you got to go out there, you got to do everything you can. Rogan agreed and credited Daily Wire with Matt Walsh's documentary, with exposing the ridiculous of woke gender ideology with a documentary that leaked What is a Woman? Quote, I mean, with wokeness, you can identify as a woman. You can get used to the woman's restroom and be able to utilize it. Like, okay, what is it? What's a woman? You know, can a man get pregnant? According to the left, they can. Okay, well, what is it? Can a biological male get pregnant? And then people panic and they start. The people that identify as a woman are capable of being pregnant, and people that identify as a male are capable of also being pregnant. Like, what are you saying? Meaning, what he's calling out here is just, it's so crazy, it's so baffling, you can't wrap your head around it. And so what does it do? It creates chaos. And that chaos is going to ultimately lead to the destruction of this country. Chaos tends to lead to destruction, and that's what their goal is. Indoctrinate the youth in the public school system and sometimes the private school system. They're going to grow up being all indoctrinated, confused, becoming doctors, lawyers, and all this other stuff. And then you have a mega republic, a democracy implode within itself. So I doubt it's going to be a foreign adversary like Russia or China that's going to go up against us and defeat us. It's going to be ourselves that consume ourselves from the inside out, and no longer we can have a republic or a democracy. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.